Hello and welcome to this session on planning, tracking, and collaborating with Zoho projects. I'm Naveen. I handle marketing for Zoho projects, and I'll be your host for this session. Now, here's our agenda for the day. First, I'll give you a brief introduction of Zoho projects and how it works. Then, we'll look at how to plan your project using Gantt charts and resource utilization reports. And then, we'll see how to set up workflows using blueprints. And lastly, we'll quickly go through the collaboration features that Zoho Projects has on offer. All right, let's begin. So Zoho Projects is an online project management tool which helps you run your business online with ease. With Zoho Projects, you can plan your project, track its progress, and collaborate with your team to get things done efficiently. And with over 3 million users, Zoho Projects is already being used across various business verticals. From software development to construction companies, marketing agencies to recruiting agencies have successfully completed many of their projects using Zoho Projects. Before we dive into the product, let me show you how your work items are structured inside Zoho Projects. This is called the work breakdown structure. Your work items and goals can be structured into milestones, task lists, tasks, and subtasks. So your projects are broken down into milestones, milestones into task lists, and task lists into tasks and subtasks. Milestones can be considered as progress trackers or short-term goals in the bigger picture. The definition of this generally largely varies from business to business. And task lists can be considered as to-do lists, which consists of all your tasks and subtasks. So when you complete a group of subtasks, you're completing a task. When you complete a group of tasks, you're completing a task list. And similarly, when you complete a group of task lists, you're completing a milestone. And once all your milestones are complete, your project should be ready for delivery. Now let's look at the product. The homepage gives you a complete overview of everything that's happening across all the projects that you're a part of. You can view the tasks, milestones, timesheets, overdue work items, scheduled events, expenses, and so on. And all the widgets that you see here are completely customizable. You can rearrange them or even bring up new widgets if needed. And there's also a portfolio dashboard that's available that displays the complete information of all the projects that you're working on. You could view the project timeline Gantt, the project status report, project ownership report, timeline summary, client summary, and so on. Moving on, we have the feed section. Under the feed section, there are three different tabs: feed, status, and activity stream. The feed is an automated system that populates activities in your project. Similar to some social media feeds, you'll receive updates whenever the user performs activities in the project that you're associated with. And you also have an option to add comments or drop attachments here. Under the status tab, you'll find all the status updates by users throughout all the projects that you're a part of. And under the activity stream, the activities of all users in a project are shown in a timeline view so that you could quickly get updated on what went on within a time span. This also gives you an audit trail of the project activities. And under the feed and status section, you have an option to add mention users or roles or even hashtag bugs. So we look at how to add users next and roles. To add new users, click on setup, select manage users. There are two different types of users you can add: portal users and client users. Portal users are your employees that you would add to projects, and client users are your clients. You can give them access to ongoing projects to let them track the progress in real time. And there's also an option for you to group similar users into specific teams. This helps you to easily mention teams in comments or even assign work to specific teams if needed. So to add a new portal user, click on Add User, enter a valid email address, select their role and profile, which we will talk about in a second, select the rate per hour, and click on Add. As soon as you do this, a notification would be sent via email to the user that you have added. The user can then join your portal by accepting the invitation that's sent to them. Next, let's Next, under the client users, it's pretty similar to your project, the portal level users. You'd add a client's company first and then add all the client users inside that company. Then we have profiles and roles. A profile defines the permissions needed to access features in projects, and the role defines the user's designation or position in an organization. Users with same role can be assigned different profiles based on the permission required. So under profiles, there are a few default profiles that cannot be deleted: the admin, manager, employee, contractor, and client. These are the profiles that you cannot delete, but you could clone or edit them to change their permission levels. So to add a new profile, click on Add Profile, give it a name, select if it's going to be a portal level profile or a client level profile, and select the permission types. There are different levels of permissions that you could select from: portal level permissions, project level permissions, and even module level permissions. You could customize the portal's profiles based on whatever need that you have for the employee that you're trying to onboard. Next, we have roles. Roles are just designations. This does not involve any privileges to access any specific functionalities inside your portal. To add a new role, click on Add Role, give the role a name, and click on Save. Moving on, we have the calendar. You can track all your project activities using the calendar module. Calendar is a simple and secure way to quickly organize meetings, events, schedule appointments, and manage tasks and issues. It helps your team to easily identify dates in which they are engaged so that they can plan ahead and complete work on time. So if you want to look at what's happening on a specific date, click on the date, and all the activities that are scheduled for that day would be displayed here. And if you want to add a new activity for a specific date, click on the date again, select the type of activity that you want to add, fill in the details, and click on Save. Next, we have projects. You can view all the projects created in your portal here, along with the basic information such as the status of the project, completion percentage, start and end dates, owner, and so on. And you also have an option to group similar projects together. For example, if you're working for a client and you're working for different projects for the same client, you could group them all under the client's name for easy accessibility later. Now let's see how to create a new project. To create a new project, click on New Project, give your project a name, select the owner, select the start and end dates, fill in the overview section if needed. And the other fields that you see here are the custom fields. You could add different fields in different sections based on the kind of projects that you're working on. We'll see how to add these fields in a bit. And the other default section here is the project access. You could either choose this to be a private project or a public project. If you select it to be a private project, only users who have access to this project would be able to view what's happening inside the project. But if you make it a public project, all the users in your portal would have access to view what's happening across this project. Now let's see how to add custom fields. Let's go to Setup again, click on Customization, and select Projects. And these are the different types of layouts you could create. Every time you want to create a completely new layout from scratch, you could do that by clicking on Create Layout. But for this presentation, let's see how an existing layout works. And the standard layout is the default layout. And these two sections that you see here, the first two, are the default sections and cannot be deleted. But you could add new fields to this section. And these are the fields that are available. You have a single line field, a pick list, a user pick list, phone number, email, URL, and so on. And if you want to add a new field, click on the field type and if you want to add a new field, click on the field type. Okay, let's add a new section first. To add a new section, click on the add section and drop it here. Give it a name. And then to add a new field, click on the field type and drop it here. You could give it a name, and if it's a user pick list or something of that sort, you could select the options, select if it's a mandatory field or an optional field, and click on Add to Layout. Now, if you want to delete a field that's already there, you could do that too. And once you delete the field, this would be removed from the layout, but not from your project entirely. You could still find it under the available field section. So that if you ever want to recycle the field for a different project that you're working on, you could do that easily. You don't have to create all the options again if it's a pick list field, and you could directly drop it here again and reuse it. And the custom fields and layouts are similar for the tasks section as well. When you create a new task, you would have a similar kind of layout. And if you want to add different fields or different section based on the kind of project that you're working, you could do that too. But under tasks, you have an option to create customized statuses, because every business works in a different way and every project requires a different kind of work. So if you want to add a new status which is customized to your type of work, you could do that. Click on add status, select the color that you want to give the status, type its name, and select if it's going to be an open status or a closed status, and click on apply changes. Now, after a project is created, you'd be taken to the project's dashboard, where the overview of all the information is displayed. And as mentioned earlier, these widgets could again be customized. You could replace them or rearrange them based on your need. Now that we have created a project, let's look at how to create milestones. To create a new milestone, click on Add Milestone, give it a name, select the start and end dates, select if it's going to be an internal milestone or an external one, select the owner, and click on Add. And after adding a new milestone, you'd have an option to add task list. And for task list, you don't have to select the start and end dates. You just have to give it a name because it's pretty much a to-do list. And after creating a task list, you could directly create a new task. So to create a new task, give it a name, a description if necessary, select the user, select the start and end dates, set the priority if necessary, and the other fields here are again the custom fields based on your requirement that you set. And after you create a new task, you'd be taken to the tasks detail page. Now this is called the tasks detail page and gives you a bunch of information about your task. You could see the planned versus actual cost of your budget. You could see the status of the task. You could see the completion percentage. You could see the owners. You could see the duration and so on. And there are a couple of other interesting things that you could do here as well. One is to set a reminder. You have options to set weekly or daily reminders to specific users about this task. You could set it based on a specific date, or you could set it based on a due date. And you could add the users that you want to notify about this task. Like we saw previously, if you group users into specific teams, you could easily notify specific teams directly without having to select each individual user in that team. And then we have recurrence, which reopens a task automatically based on the frequency that you set. If you have a task that you regularly keep working on every day or every week or monthly or on a yearly basis, you could set that here. You don't have to fill all the details again and create a new task every time you start working on it. You could set a recurrence for the task that you first create, and then you could select after how many recurrences should the task end. And this would automatically take care of that for you. And at the bottom, you have the comment section where you could post comments, mention users or teams, attach attachments, create subtasks to the specific task if needed, log in your work hours directly for the task here without having to go back to the timesheets. And there's also a status timeline section which displays the time it took for this task to move from one status to another. This helps you to easily identify bottlenecks so that you could plan and work on them when you're working on a similar task next time in the future. Now there are three different types of task views: classic, plain, and Kanban. Classic is the default view for task lists and tasks. You can customize your columns in the classic view. And the view that we have on our screen is the classic view. You could customize and rearrange these columns again based on the type of information that you want to see first. And then we have the plain view. The plain view is sorted based on the due date. It displays all the tasks and its dependencies with the task level. It ignores the milestones and task lists and only displays your tasks and subtasks based on the due date to avoid any sort of confusion. And then we have the Kanban cards. Kanban cards are an easy and dynamic way to create and visualize your workflows. Task lists and tasks are visually arranged so every team member knows the tasks and subtasks in every task list. So if you want to move one task from one place to another, say you're working on a task that's currently 10% complete, and now it's 20% complete after you finish working on it, you could directly move it and drop it here. And you also have options to view tasks based on their status, task list, priority, and even percentage. Moving on, we have the Gantt charts. Now that we have created a project, added milestones, task lists, tasks, and subtasks, let's look at how to plan your work using Gantt charts. Gantt chart is a commonly used feature in Zoho projects and project management in general. It is one of the most popular and useful ways of showing your tasks or events displayed against time. On the left of the chart, you would see a list of activities, and along the top is a suitable timescale. Each activity is represented by a bar. The position and the length of the bar reflects the start date, the duration, and the end date of the activities. This allows you to view at a glance what the various activities are, when each activity begins and ends, how long each activity is scheduled to last, where activities overlap with other activities and by how much, and the start and the end dates of the whole project. Now let me resize this so that we could view it better. The red bars represent milestones, the gray ones represent task lists, and the blue and green ones represent tasks and subtasks. So if you take a closer look, all the activities that are here have two different shades to them, a darker shade and a lighter shade. Now the darker shade represents the completion percentage of the task. Now to create a new task, you could do that directly from here. A Gantt chart in itself is a mini project management tool which lets you do a lot of stuff inside the Gantt chart itself without having to move to the different sections that you have in your PM tool. So click on Add Task, give it a name, and hit Enter. Now this would directly create the task and have it under the Unscheduled Tasks module because you haven't given it a date. So to give it a date, drag and drop it on the calendar and resize it based on the duration, the date, and the timeline that you want for this task. Now there are 4 different types of dependencies that we follow. The finish to start dependency. The dependent tasks cannot begin until the parent task is complete. For instance, in a journal publishing process, the self-review of a journal cannot begin until the draft is completed by the writer. Start to start dependency. The dependent task cannot begin until the parent task has started. For instance, as the peer review of the journal starts, the manager review can also be initiated. Finish to finish dependency. A task cannot be completed until the other task is finished. For instance, an error correction cannot be completed until the manager review is finished. And then we have the start to finish dependency. A dependent task can only be completed when the parent task is about to begin. For instance, publishing the journal cannot be completed unless the journal binding process starts. So to add a dependency, click on the tasks that you want to add the dependency and drag it to the other task. Now to change the type of dependency that you've added, click on the dependency arrow. And here you have an option to select the type of dependency. You could select a start to start dependency, a finish to start dependency, start to finish dependencies, and so on. And if you want to set a time lag between the end date and the start dates of these dependent tasks, you could do that too. You could do it based on hours or even days. And now there's something called a critical path. A critical path consists of a specific sequence of tasks that must be completed in order for the project to meet its deadline. It's the longest path in a chain of interdependent activities from start to finish in a project. Now, let's say this line you see here is the end date of the project. Let's say the end date of this task is extended to go beyond the end date of the project. Now, this task would automatically turn red, indicating that this is a critical task and needs to be completed before you complete the project. And now you could plan and rework the end date of this task. And if you bring it back inside the end date of the whole project, it turns back to its normal color. Now, this lets you to easily identify which tasks are important and which tasks need to be completed before the end date of the actual project to make sure that you deliver the project on time. And just like the tasks view, you have an option to view all the information about all the tasks that are displayed here. You could view the owner, the duration, start and end dates, baselines, and so on. And again, you have an option to customize them. You could rearrange them or even add new columns based on your need. And there are two different types of Gantt. One is the milestone Gantt, and the other is the chronology Gantt. Milestone Gantt is what we have on the screen right now. Milestones, task lists, tasks are displayed based on their hierarchy in the project. And for chronology Gantt, Gantt bars are displayed based on the order of their start and end date. So just like the plain view that we saw for tasks, this would again neglect all the milestones and task lists and would display only your tasks and subtasks based on their due dates. Moving on, we have the resource utilization charts. The resource utilization reports are great for managers when allocating tasks to others. It gives you a view of how balanced your team's work hours and free hours are. It helps you to view at a glance if someone is fully occupied or has time to spare. This view not only helps managers understand how occupied the team members are, but also to reallocate work to someone else if someone is overloaded. So the green bars you see here are represent that the user is either fully occupied. I'm sorry, the either is I'm sorry, the user is either occupied for all the hours that he has on the day or has some time to spare to work on new tasks. And the red color represents that the user is overloaded or is completely occupied throughout the day. So if you want to reassign tasks from one user to other user to make sure that you have the work balance distributed equally amongst other users, you could do that directly from here. Click on the user to view all the tasks that this user is working on. And if you want to move one task to another user to free up some time for the previous user, you could do that directly by dragging the task and dropping it to the other user. Now the task from this user has been reassigned to the other user. So previously this user had only one task that she was working on. Now there are two different tasks that she's working on. And you have different views available here as well. You have the days view, the weeks view, and even the months view. And if you want to add a customized view, you could do that too. And if you're a large organization and handle a lot of users and tasks, scrolling through a huge list of users to find out which user is occupied and which user has time to spare could be a daunting task, which is where the filters feature comes in. It helps you to filter the users based on their roles, allocation type, or even their team. Moving on, we have the planned versus actual reports. These reports help you identify the work progress of the users based on the difference in their planned and actual hours. You can view both the total planned hours of a user and the actual hours spent by the user in a project. The difference between the planned and actual hours indicate the progress of the project. The planned hours are calculated based on the work hours allocated for the task assigned to the user, and the actual hours are calculated based on the user's timer and timesheet entries, which we will talk about in a bit. And these reports could also be exported as XLS files if needed. Then we have the task reports. These reports provide a consolidated view of all tasks in a project based on their status, milestone, priority, owner, and even completion percentage. And there are also a few advanced reports that you could tap into. And if you want to if you want to create a customized report based on your requirements and your metrics, you could do that too from here. And there are also different chart options. You could view the reports in different charts. And the bug reports are pretty similar. The issue reports are, I mean, the bug reports are pretty similar to your task reports, and they give you a deep insight onto the tasks of the issues, status of the issues. Issues can be analyzed based on numerous parameters such as status, assignee, reporter, escalation, severity, and so on. And just like the task reports, you have an advanced report section as well. And you could again view these in different chart types. Next, we have blueprints. Blueprints let you automate tasks by setting up workflows. It helps you to define and design a workflow to automate your processes in an organized manner. The main components of a blueprint are statuses and transitions. A status indicates which stage a task is in at a particular point in your workflow. And a transition is a link between two statuses and allows a task to move from one status to another. Now let's see how to set up these blueprints. Let's go to Setup, click on Task Automation and Blueprint. I already have a blueprint set up for the session, so we'll look at how it works. Now this is a blueprint for a social media promotion. The task first starts with the open status and ends with the closed status. And all the white boxes that you see here are the statuses, and the gray ones are transitions. So every time a task moves from one status to another, it goes through a transition. So when the task moves from an open status to the content review status, it goes to the submit for review transition. And again, there are two different transitions from the content review status. There's an unapproved transition, which takes the task back to the open status, and there's an approved transition, which takes the task to the next phase. And the next phase is the design phase, which again works on two different transitions. One transition is for the video, and the other transition is for the image. So every time the task moves through a transition, you could decide what should happen before, during, or after a transition. So you could change the assignee of the task during a transition. You could make sure that you update different fields, or even add attachments during a transition, or even send notifications or emails to users to alert them based on what's happening in the task after the transition is complete. Let's say that if both the image and video are rendered and are ready to be scheduled for the social media post, then you could send an email to all the users involved saying that the task is the creative works are ready and you could now post it on social media. So to create a new transition, I'm sorry, let's get back to that screen. So to create a new transition, click on the status that you want this to transist from to the other. And here you'd have an option to create the transition. Give it a name. Click on save, and this would give you an option to select what should happen before, during, or after the transition. So moving on to the collaboration features that are available on Zoho projects. First one is the forums. With forums, you could post a topic and let your team share their views to know the exact requirements to start a new project or have discussions about an ongoing project. To create a new forum, click on New Forum Post, give it a name and a description which are default, and select the category and select if it's going to be an internal forum or an external forum. Meaning, if you have it as an internal forum, only your portal level users would have access to it. But if it's an external forum, both your portal and client users would have access to it. Select the type of forum post that you want it to be. And if you want to notify specific users about this forum post after it's posted, you could do that too. And click on publish. Now, this is how your forum post would look after it's posted. You'd have options to have discussions under the comments. Again, you have options to add mention users, drop attachments, and so on. Next, we have the pages. Pages lets your team collaboratively build a repository of information for a project. New ideas, reference materials, specifications, or any other information relevant to everyone in the project can be added here. This information is not displayed to the clients or anyone outside your project. So to create a new page, click on Create New Page. And if you already have a page, you could import the page directly to this page. And then we have the Discuss section. This is an inbuilt collaboration option that lets you keep your discussions going via chat or audio video meetings with anyone in your projects. To create a new discussion, click on New Conversation, select the project that you want to discuss about, give it a title, and select the users that you want to involve, and click on Add. After you create a new conversation, this is how it would look. You have options to attach, to drop attachment, add new users, and so on. And there's also an option to schedule meetings. You could directly schedule meetings from here without having to move to a different product. Again, select the project that you're working on, give it a title, select the agenda, and select the users that you want to involve in this meeting. Select the start date. And this would directly send a notification to all the users that are involved, and also a reminder 15 minutes before the session for everyone to join the session. And then we have the timesheets. So with everyone working from home these days, keeping a track of the time you spend working when you're at home has never been more important. With projects, you get an option to keep track of every minute you work on every single task that you're assigned to. Every time you start working on a task, you can start the timer and stop it after you're done working on the task. This would automatically log the total number of hours you've spent working on the task and would calculate the billable hours. So there are two ways you could do this. One is through the global timer at the top. Click on this icon at the top and select the task that you're working on and click on Start. Now you have options to either pause this timer, just if you're taking a break or if you're stepping away from working on the task, or even end it after you're done working on the task. You could select if it should be a billable task or non-billable and click on Update. This would directly update the timesheet entry. And the other way you could enter your login hours is through the timesheet itself. Click on Add New Time Log, select the task that you have been working on, select the date, enter the log hours, and select the invoice status. Now this would directly enter all your login hours here. And with our integration with Zoho Invoice, an invoice can be automatically generated and sent to your clients based on the completion of milestones or on a weekly or monthly basis based on your billing agreement. And if you want to set up approvals for your timesheet, you could do that too. To do that, go to Settings, click on Portal Configuration, select Task and Timesheet, and click on Timesheet Settings. Here you have options to enable approval process so that all the timesheet entries would go through the manager's approval before they're finalized. And then this version of Zoho Projects also comes with a lot of new themes, which include a bunch of newly designed image and art themes. But the best of all, this version comes with an eye-catching dark mode. The dark mode that helps you reduce your eye strain and makes it easier to stay focused on your work. And just like with every other product, Zoho's mantra for success has always been to provide rich integrations. With projects, it's no different. It integrates with various Zoho apps such as CRM, Books, Invoice, WorkDrive, and Click. And it also integrates with various non-Zoho apps as well, such as Dropbox, Slack, Google Drive, Microsoft Office 365, and so on. And with that, we have almost come to the end of this session. Please feel free to email us at support@zohoprojects.com, or you could directly initiate a chat with our product experts from our website itself. Thank you for participating.